There's been a major ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court this morning dealing a very serious blow to President Trump's sweeping tariffs, which have been integral to his entire presidency. I mean, it's like the crux of his entire foreign policy, whether it comes to imposing them to raise more money and balance out trade imbalances, or using them to threaten countries into becoming very quickly much more peaceful. In a 6-3 decision, the High Court saying he cannot use emergency law to impose global tariffs, ruling that that authority belongs to Congress, not to the president, and it has not clearly been delegated. That's Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Barrett siding with the Libs. Two of those justices were Trump appointees. The ruling carrying major implications, as I say, for the entire Trump agenda. Here to break it down with us, we're going to spend 10 minutes on this so that we can understand it clearly and what it means for our lives, is legal expert Will Chamberlain. He's senior counsel for the Article 3 project. Will, welcome back to the show. So what exactly did the Supreme Court rule?
They ruled 6-3 that the president cannot use the International Economic Emergency Powers Act to impose tariffs. That's the extent of the ruling. And they didn't even agree on the reasoning, right? You had three justices, Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Barrett, using the major questions doctrine, which is basically saying that for a major delegation of congressional power, there needs to be a very explicit delegation of that power, and they didn't find that in this case. The three liberals just said the statute doesn't authorize the tariffs, and then Alito, Kavanaugh, and Thomas disagree with all that, saying pretty straightforward that the statute actually does authorize these tariffs, but they were the losing side. So all these tariffs issued under this, imposed under this particular statute, are unlawful.
And it's some 200 billion worth of tariffs. I mean, it's a big number that have been issued so far. So what does this mean for all the tariffs that Trump has implemented in the first year of his presidency?
Well, it's about 2/3 of the tariffs were imposed under this specific statute. I think the number I saw was something like 175 billion. Everybody who paid a tariff is probably entitled to a refund. The Supreme Court didn't really lay out the process here, other than to strongly suggest that all this will go to the United States Court of International Trade. But all the refund litigation, everything that happens there, that's to be decided later. All the Supreme Court decided was that these tariffs were unlawful in the first instance.
So are we going to get sued by other countries? Is that who's going to sue us, saying, I want a refund of all the tariffs I paid to the United States?
No, it's going to be the actual people who paid the tariffs. And remember, that's United States citizens and importers. So like when you import something from a foreign country, you, the importer, are responsible for paying the tariff. The foreign country isn't, the foreign manufacturer isn't. So that's who ultimately will pay the tariff here. I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible, some foreign entity might make an argument that they were damaged by these tariffs because they sold fewer of the product than they would have otherwise, and maybe they'll have some claim against the United States for that. I doubt it. I think that the people who actually have a legitimate claim are the people who paid these tariffs and then are entitled to refunds.
To me, this seems like the biggest losers will be our poor lawyers at the Department of Justice, who are already stretched too thin, who now are going to have to litigate all these claims on who deserves a tariff and who doesn't. But Trump is going to try to argue that he has the ability still under different statutes to levy tariffs. Will that help? It might help him going forward. Will it help him with any of these back tariffs that he's already issued under the statute they've said he can't use?
I don't think that'll happen. That'll help backfill anything here, right? Those tariffs are unlawful, and they weren't imposed under the other authorities. And I mean, there's a reason he used the emergency statute. There are a lot fewer hoops in terms of imposing some sort of tariff or bar on imports using the IEEPA. But there are other authorities. I mean, there are product-specific authorities that he has that allow him to bar imports of specific, or tariff imports of steel, for instance, or cars. And there are also nation-specific authorities that he has outside of the IEEPA that he could do, that he already has used on China, for example. So, it's not the end.
He's not powerless. He's not now powerless to issue tariffs. He just cannot do the sweeping scheme that he's been doing, where he's been using them as a carrot and a stick to do a whole bunch of things, including stop fentanyl from crossing into our borders, to stop countries like India and Pakistan from having a war, and to to right the trade imbalance that he walked into, that he inherited when he became president. And now all of that is into question. So on a go forward basis, he does have some possible tariff schemes he can impose. Retroactively, maybe not so much. So what would you say is the net effect of this on the Trump agenda?
Well, it weakens it. I mean, there's just no getting around that. It's a bad ruling for the Trump administration. It's really bad for the country because I mean, the tariffs are a key part of the president's arsenal in negotiating with foreign countries. And if foreign countries know that Trump is a little more handcuffed in how he can impose tariffs, then there will be more reluctant to make concessions in trade negotiations. It's as simple as that. I think Justice Kavanaugh had the best of the argument here. I thought Congress clearly delegated this authority to the president, and it makes sense that they would, because tariffs are so interwoven with our economic negotiations with foreign countries that you want the president to have the flexibility to be and the credibility to be able to impose tariffs when he needs to. So, yeah, I think this was a bad ruling from the Supreme Court. No, and it's gonna hurt the president. Is it devastating? No, but it's gonna hurt the president and it's gonna hurt the country.
We had good old Alito and Thomas siding with the conservative POV, and Justice Kavanaugh, who's been more moderate, saying, yep, I'm with these guys. And then you had Gorsuch and you had Amy Coney Barrett going with John Roberts to side with the three libs on this. I will say, what do you make of this Gorsuch quote? Because I like this. I don't love a hugely powerful executive because I'm always thinking about who's coming next, right? I certainly don't want to see a hugely powerful Gavin Newsom or AOC or Gretchen Whitmer. And here's what Gorsuch wrote. A ruling for him here, meaning the president acknowledges, would afford future presidents the same latitude he asserts for himself. So another president might impose tariffs on gas-powered automobiles to respond to climate change, or really on virtually any imports for any, quote, emergency any president might perceive. And all of these emergency declarations would be unreviewable. Just ask yourself, what president would willingly give up that kind of power? This is what Gorsuch does. He reels you in with comments like that make you think about AOC and my gas-powered car. Do you think that that's a real concern? I mean, like that if we allowed the president to have this kind of tariff power to himself, that it was basically a slippery slope where it was going to get expanded to micromanage our lives by a more aggressive Dem president next.
I mean, possibly, but the president's always checked by political accountability, right? He's accountable to his voters. He has to win half the country. And if Congress doesn't like the extent to which the president is using the power granted to him, they can always change the statute. I mean, the fact that Congress has basically exceeded, I'm not sure if they exceeded is the right word. I know there's been some fighting over these tariffs, but, I mean, again, Congress has the ability to write this own laws. This is not a constitutional case. This is a statutory interpretation case. So I kind of find Gorsuch's sort of reassurances unimpressive, I guess would be the right word. It's a statutory interpretation case. I thought Kavanaugh had the better interpretation of the statute. I thought the dissenters had it right. And so, obviously, yes, the president should only be able to exercise the authority given to him by Congress. The real question at dispute was how much authority did they give him?
Right. So if we don't like that amount of power, take it up with the U.S. Congress. If you believe this statute did, in fact, delegate the power to issue these tariffs to the president, it wasn't about how bad or good that might be. It was about did they or didn't they? Well, this court has found they didn't. And that was predictable. I mean, if you watch the oral argument, and I know the DOJ was expecting a loss here. They've been trying to plan for it. The president's unhappy, but I think he's got some other tricks up his sleeves. International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it is a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. The There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold, so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.